Hey, what is up, YouTube? Kyo here, coming at you with a brand new replay, and in this game we're going to be checking out something awesome. It is going to be a game between myself and, in the bottom right, a Terran player! Woo! Finally some Protoss versus Terran, right? I'm not sure if this is actually the Axiom account. I have no verification of that. Might be Crank or something, I'm not positive. There was no Axiom player streaming, I do not believe, during this time, so either way, I don't know. They're pretty good. It's a fun game. I hope you guys will like it. I was checking over the replays that I had, going over some things, which games I wanted to cast over for right now, and I remembered that I had this one, and this game has a lot of different interesting aspects to it. Seeing right now that starting off with some pretty standard refinery barracks opener, going for double gas up here in our corner, doing the standard scout every position except for where they spawn goodness. Yes, they can spawn here. I don't just scout cross positions for fun. They can spawn there, believe me, guys. Trust me. Just trust me. And what is this? Oh my gosh. Barracks plus barracks. That is not Cyclones. We could only pray all games are like this. Actually, if you guys haven't seen the new patch, the Cyclones don't shoot up anymore, and with an Oracle into Void Ray opening, it seems like you can actually defend pretty well against Oracle or versus Cyclones. So, some interesting balance at hand right now in Legacy of the Void. I still do feel that Cyclones are a little bit too strong when it comes to their DPS and their health, but I'm not quite sure yet. You can never be too sure. You always have to keep testing, making sure things are actually broken. If they are, don't just say they are. Reaper popping out here, killing my probe. I know, what kind of BM is this? Opens it now. So throwing down our Stargate, getting an Adept and a Mothership Core. This is the patch where Reapers have the KD8 charge, which is very interesting. It does some very interesting things to your units, like that. Moderately interesting. And I'm not really sure how I feel about that. You can do some really interesting things like jump Hellions over walls like this. But at the same time, it doesn't really seem super effective versus Protoss since we have Adepts. So I'm not inclined to say it's broken, but it does yield some interesting results for sure. See, we're harassing up a little bit here with this Adept. Just trying to keep these Reapers at home. 4 Reapers, a bit of a different opener, especially versus Protoss, not something you would see regularly. Of course, Reapers do still have their regeneration, so over time they do pick back up their health. You can see these Reapers starting to recover down here. And our friend Axiom picking up Stim, adding on a reactor. Already has this natural up, turning it into an orbital. We do have our first Oracle out over here. We have 2 Adepts also to defend. Blows away our Adepts a little bit, but Oracle's pretty good at killing Reapers actually, so perhaps not the most effective opener versus Protoss, especially if they open air. Back at the Terran base, we do see a bunker and Marine, so definitely looking like we're going to be seeing some bio play. Stim and Marauders queued up here now. Adding on 2 engineering bays for upgrades. Back at our base, we are getting Robotics Bay, adding on our 2 gateways, splitting up our workers, and we have our Stasis Ward back here, picking up 2 worker kills. Stasis Ward just to be defensive, make sure no shenanigans with Marines or anything running past. We have our second Oracle coming in here, picking up 1 kill. Not too much in here for the Terran player, just a few Marines and his Marauder. And both just going to start macroing up now. Not really any fear of being attacked. And this is the cool thing you can do with oracles now. So you can go in, try and do your initial damage, see if they have their due diligence, built their missile turrets or not. But if they haven't, you can stick around and do some extra damage. But if they have, you can just bring your oracles back, and with the stasis ward now, you have the ability to get aggressive with other units while defending with those. Trying to pick up just a few more worker kills. Checking out what kind of army composition our Terran friend has down here. Adding on a factory and starport for those medevacs. Getting 1-1. See our oracles flying back home. Mothership core trying to knock down some rocks. Only have 2 sentries and a zealot. We have a warp prism and good old nothing being chrono boosted. Standard Protoss strategy. Trying to pick up this marine. See this army so we can't stick around for too long. Barely escaping out of there with our oracle. We have 2 stasis wards set up on our ramp. Very good for defensive positions. So we went from chrono boosting nothing into chrono boosting a supply block. Top tier plays over here. We are just about even on the worker count. 45, a little bit lead for Protoss, but actually Mule's making it a little bit ahead for the Terran player. We see these stasis wards doing their job, slowing down the Terran army, and we aren't trying to surround his army here. Just pick the fights you want to do, pick off a couple marines. I'm about to have our first disruptor come out here. Warping in some more adepts. Terran player getting 3rd base, missile turret behind all this. About to have warp prism speed and disruptor. Adding on medevacs now. Hitting 2-2 already. And this map is a little bit awkward for Protoss, I have to say. 5 kills on our disruptor there. Picking up a mule, I think, also. Very good trade. And the reason this is awkward for Protoss is because the expansions... This type of expansion is actually absolutely horrible versus Zerg, and if you guys have been watching some of my streams... Feels rather impossible to beat Zerg in general, but on this map, if they just attack you at all, it seems even more impossible. Have our other disruptor at home defending. A double forge here, gonna start getting upgrades soon. Still throwing around these stasis wards out on the map. Flying in here with a disruptor, getting quite a few kills on that. Flying out of there. Doing quite a bit of damage, and we can actually see that we have a army advantage now. Flying in here with our other disruptor, picking up the rest of this army. So now we have a 25 supply food lead, throwing down more stasis wards and feeling safe to take another base now. So this is kind of back to the awkwardness of the map. You have to make sure you have enough units to cover a wide range, wide area before you take a 3rd base, otherwise they're just going to be dropping you. Quite a good map for drops with a lot of airspace. See these stasis wards set up at our natural here. Throwing them up behind this rock as well. Flying straight into our base, throwing down some stasis wards up here. Just getting as much utility out of these oracles as we can. Terran player sees these going down and getting their army out of there. End up friendly firing a probe right there. Get one of the medevacs. Can we get another one? Yes, we can. So, if you guys have been following the progression of feels that I have for Protoss versus Terran right now, you should know that I feel like Zealots have more or less become useless in this matchup. Instead of getting Zealot Charge, I feel like getting Blink is always going to be a better option now. See, we did quite a little bit of harass down here in the corner, warping in some adepts, using the warp prism to drop them off with the disruptor. You can see we are up to 12 worker kills versus 10 Terran. Moving across here with his army again. Adding on a Twilight Council now. Finishing up our 1-1, throwing down some more stasis wards. We have 3 in our base, 2 at our natural. Killing off these rocks. Scanning, moving forward. You can actually see these when they're cloaked. If you have the correct settings on. Throwing in some adepts over here. Making the multitasking a little bit harder for the Terran player. Already going up to +3 weapons. So he does have a bit of a lead here, and we're surprising him with a flying in disruptor. Up to 28 kills on that disruptor. Being a hero for the Protoss army. Getting the shield upgrade and +2. Going into Colossus. And this makes it so that if the Terran player is not building Vikings, maybe just trying to build a lot of medevacs, we see our friend here has 4 medevacs. That Colossus are still just as effective versus Bio. Not as effective versus Lurkers, if you guys have checked out my latest video, but throwing in some more depth here. It's interesting to note that a mine doesn't kill an adept, but it kills a stalker. Noticing these mines are still outside our base. Interesting things you can do with disruptors is auto-cast them and make them chase units that are burrowed, and it will hit them. Losing a few stalkers here, and this is what I was talking about. 5 kills on there, about 5 marauders it would seem. You have to be careful while microing your disruptors. Have to make sure that you're not doing any friendly fire, but you also have to make sure that you're selecting the next units to send over there and chase the Terran army. We do have some stasis wards over here, basically all over the place. We have 4 here. This one catching a few units at our natural. We do lose a Colossus, but trading for a number of medevacs and quite a few marauders, not that bad. Banking quite a bit of money, and this is something that I was mentioning on Twitter in one of my games, is it feels like even if you're expanding a lot as Protoss, you have so much mineral, but not very much gas. Getting 3 ghosts there, that's actually a really big pick-off. Very well worth the disruptor. And there's nothing really to mineral dump in. You can make adepts, which are pretty good, but the problem with making adepts is they do cost gas. So it's just something you have to be aware of, because if you want to ramp up production on Colossus, or if you want to ramp up upgrades or something, you need all the gas you can get. Adding on some cannons at the back of our base. Definitely have to emphasize how important base defenses are in these situations where you start getting further and further away from your base. Still have these oracles alive. I think we're a little bit up further on the workers killed with that harassment, up to 26 now. And these stasis wards doing a great job. You can see here that that's about 20 supply of army just caught out there. Using our adept to take over the tower, adding on 2 more robos. Terran player up to 2-3, getting his 3rd upgrade now. Reactively throwing those SCVs away. War prisms are pretty scary. I can understand that. Getting up some more cannons over here. Ghosts seem not nearly as strong as they used to be, and definitely can't outrun disruptors, so Terran player has to be really, really careful with their units here. If they trade a few ghosts, that's a lot of money that they could have had otherwise. More stasis wards here, catching off more of this army. So we see that we're just getting really good trades with our stasis wards here, doing some more harassment in the bottom. All this multitasking. We can see here that our APM is actually up to 213, which is actually higher than it was in the previous version because of the time change now. So just cleaning up this army that was stasis warded, flying around with our oracles still. And this is some interesting stuff that you can do with Protoss now with the stasis wards versus bio. You keep these alive and you can start basically running around the map with the rest of your units and depth stalkers, disruptors. I think if I had gotten Blink a lot earlier in this game, it would have been even better. I could have defended these drops even more effectively. Because you can just basically chase after medevacs. And stasis wards do a great job. Activated that. Forgetting that a unit that has been hit by stasis ward cannot be hit by abilities. So just kind of leaving these units here. Throwing down some more stasis wards, catching out some more units. And that's pretty much the name of the game here. You're just trying to build up a really good disruptor, immortal, adept stalker army, getting our upgrades, expanding out, all while defending these drops off. Throwing down more stasis wards, catching his army yet again. Defending action all over the map. Some more depths coming over here. I think adding in DTs here is a really good idea as well. The only thing, again, you have to be aware of is just how much gas you have. You can see throughout this game, we've had a huge imbalance of mineral to gas, and it's a really big problem for Protoss. We see we have quite a few disruptors in our army, getting 3-3, building 3 immortals at a time. This was basically the thing I found that is the best way to dump your minerals. The only problem is that immortals are not nearly as strong as they used to be without their hardened shield. And to micro your barrier at the same time as microing your disruptors is not generally what you want to be doing. You wish the immortals could just be a standalone fighting unit. Our adept getting 2 adepts here, getting actually quite a few kills. Holding off this base, preventing the Terran player from taking it. So all in all, our harassment up to 53 workers killed now. Doing a really good job of that. We are out of position here with this drop on the left, though. Are going to lose this expansion. Dipping in and dipping out. Life of the Terran player. Our Axiom player trying to add on some more command centers. You can see here he is up to 28 Marauders, 18 Marines, 7 medevacs, 6 Vikings. The thing you have to be really careful with here is that 3 Colossus isn't too many, but from shooting from the back, it's quite a bit of extra damage. And to add in a key number of Vikings, you really have to balance your army well as the Terran player here. You can see we're both only on 54 and 57 workers, and we're spread out pretty far here. Some more adepts coming down, doing more damage. Each have quite a few kills. Army supply, 7k, but we see that we have quite a bit more in gas, and we can see these disruptors doing insane damage, 7 and 8 kills, but a large part of that being Marauders. And just like that, without great splits, the Terran army goes from 200, and the same army supply, all the way down to 100 supply. So we're picking some good fights to have here, preventing this base from being taken, and this base has been stasis ward pretty much the whole game. We do have a fleet beacon here and a Stargate in case we ever want to go into carriers, but at this point, just adding on more ground army. Our unit composition is actually pretty meaty here. Blinking over here. catching another drop with the Stasis Sword. Medevacs out of position. Finally have Blink, and like I said, if I had had this much earlier, we could have been denying these drops much better. Reestablishing this base over here on the right. Up to 68 workers killed total now. Doing a great job with our adept harassment. And the Terran player is struggling to find some money all of a sudden. Establishing another base on the left. Still have quite a bit of minerals here. Starting up our shield upgrades. Just adding on a lot of units that cost minerals. Mortals and some more prisms for some more harassment. Marauders coming in here. Throwing in some adepts to the natural just to pull away the Terran army. You can see these adepts do 29 damage. They actually kind of smack down the Marines pretty hard. How are we going to save this base? We let it finish. Running our army over here as fast as we can. Blinking right on there, saving that. We have some Rambo Immortals over here doing whatever they can. Busy microing over here. 213 APM, pretty good. This Mortal just smashing everything, man. 77 workers. 80. Ouch. 80 workers lost throughout the whole game. And the real moral of the story here is if you're a Terran player, you have to be splitting your ghosts. We saw in that game that this Axiom account player person, whoever it was, did have a key number of ghosts throughout the game, but they kept losing them in bunches to the disruptors running right at them. So you either need to be ready to pick them up, get them into medevacs, get them away from your army, you know, be ready to get the hot pickup. And you also have to be kind of aware of these stasis wards. Maybe it's going to be a bit more common to start scanning before you drop your units into Protoss bases if you play bio, in case you drop on top of a stasis ward or anywhere near a stasis ward. And that drop is pretty much dead, assuming they have Blink and some base defenses so they can move their army over there. Anyway, I thought this game was pretty interesting with the stasis wards, and gives you guys an idea for how to play Protoss versus Terran. I might cast over the game I played versus Nathanius earlier today because it shows how you can deal with mech with some quick expanding style into air, and you know, kind of get back into that sky toss style that I was showing off in Heart of the Swarm beta. But we'll see. I think the next game I'm going to be casting is the awesome adept build I've been working on, which features some adepts and some warp prison power. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one. Peace.